Has there been high tech in the past? Has there been a civilization as ours, with the enormous strides that we witness in our own time? According to the Zohar, the story told in the Bible in Genesis concerning the Tower of Babel indicated this very high tech that we witness today. What were they attempting to do? To build a tower that could reach the heavens. Some say that tower reached 1,000 stories. Some might even claim 2,000 stories. My, that's really high tech. Today, our tallest buildings rarely ever reach more than 100 or 105 stories. And in the immediate future, there is no horizon for any further advancement in that particular field. And yet, peoples of the tower, in the time of the Tower of the Babel, had this kind of ingenuity, knowledge, foresight to construct buildings or a building of this nature and size. However, something went wrong. That is the kind of implication that the Bible in Genesis seems to make us understand. There was something wrong. What was wrong? Advancement? Is there something wrong with that? But before we try to make an attempt to explore what might have gone wrong, that these people suffered the wrath of the Lord, let us investigate just what that power was all about. A power that could accomplish such incredible feats that we in the 20th century cannot boast of. And the Zohar, in raising this question as to what was this profound power, answers the power of the Aleph Bet. At the end of Parshat Noach in the Zohar, the fact that these people knew the power of the Aleph Bet, in spite of the fact that they were idol worshippers. They were idol worshippers, and therefore suffered the scorn and wrath of the Lord. They nevertheless had full control over the actions of the Lord. And here the Zohar raises that incredible idea of how can these people hold control over the cosmos. They were idol worshippers. And you know what the Zohar responds to that question? There was harmony amongst them. Because they were totally in tune with the concept of love thy neighbor, they were therefore in control of the cosmos and the entire universe, and the Lord's hands were tied. Do these people still exist today? In my book, Wheels of a Soul, I refer to a Zohar in Leviticus, page 6, that describes Atlantis. Long before Plato's description of Atlantis, we have the incredible story of one of the students of the Zohar who was traveling one day in a boat, and the boat overturned, and there he was, swimming down towards the bottom of the sea, and lo and behold, he came upon a community of people who were living as the fish in the sea, praying, conducting a lifestyle as if they were on land. They knew, these people, the Tower of Babel, knew and understood the knowledge of the universe. What was their power? The Hebrew language, the alphabet. For it says in Genesis in Noah, there was yet only one language, and that language was the Hebrew language. And because they understood love thy neighbor, practiced it, the Lord had no choice in his attempt to prevent these people from carrying through some awful thoughts for civilization. He created a bilbul. That means that these people lost the recognition of the Hebrew language and were dispersed, and each of these different nations, as they were dispersed, began to speak a different language. And once they began to speak different languages, they no longer could understand each other, and because they could not understand each other, their intrinsic power of love thy neighbor came to an end. But how could idol worshippers ever come to an understanding of love thy neighbor? We look upon idol worshippers as evil people for some, fools for others. But yet, these very same people believed in the concept of love thy neighbor. Strange. For in modern day society, with all preaching and with all our desires to bring a united nations, we somehow haven't found the formula by which we can live with each other. And here we're talking about idol worshippers, people who worship the stars, people who believed in the power of the stars, believed in astrology. Is that possible? And the Zohar answers, they knew what kept the universe together. They were simply practical people. They knew that through the process of love thy neighbor, plus and minus, which was an absolute necessity, an intrinsic characteristic of the cosmic bond, this was the power, the unification of plus and minus, no less and no different than the electric bulb that provides energy and is a source of power. This, by and within itself, was necessary. And therefore, you could be an idol worshiper and at the same time understand the necessity for love thy neighbor. It was practical. But at that point, universal language came to an end. Let us raise another question at this point. Why Hebrew? What is language? For most of us, language is a procedure by which to communicate and by which we can make ourselves understood. We also are familiar with those kind of idioms of power of words, energy transfers, influencing people. Language also serves as an energy transfer. And according to the Zohar, there is no transfer as that which has come about through the power of the alphabet. We are going to have a seminar on the alphabet by which we will understand how the people of the Tower of Babel could literally control their destiny as well as the cosmos. Let us now return to our original question, and that was about high tech. Why in the age of Aquarius? Why not other facets of human civilization? And more importantly, I'd like to raise the question as to what makes high tech in the age of Aquarius different than the Tower of Babel. And you know, I can think of one difference. The aspect of love thy neighbor. In the Tower of Babel, it was all there. Today, unfortunately, we see very little of it. Following the destruction of the Second Temple and the birth of Christianity, both major religions have had very little impact with all of its prohibitions and precepts. Man has rarely, if any, paid any attention to these important prohibitions and precepts. It is only when man understands that it is to his self-interest, like those people in the Tower of Babel, it is only to his own self-interest, not for any moral or ethical reasons, will he come to the understanding of love thy neighbor. Only then will he become enlightened, because, in effect, moral and ethical teachings have brought little hope for mankind in ever achieving an eternal state of order and harmony. But there is at least one consolation out of all of this mess, and that is that as in the Tower of Babel, the Zohar seems to indicate that these people had complete control of the cosmos, with the mind using the alphabet as its vehicle, as its channel by which to connect with the cosmos, that we too can control the universe. We too can be part of the cosmos, can be part of that cosmic intelligence. And in cosmic intelligence, thought includes past, present, and future. Thinking of erecting a 100-story building, that future building is here right now in thought, with all of the particular aspects that go into that building. The only thing that is left is what some of us refer to as that physical reality. And that physical reality, tell us our physicists, that chair may not be there at all until you decide it's there. Energy intelligence, language, the vehicle, whether it's the Hebrew language or otherwise, it is the vehicle by which I can transfer not merely information, but by which I can transfer energy. It is not the language that makes, for some people, controlling the minds of others. It is that language, together with energy intelligence of the individual, combined, that can brainwash others. The internal aspect, that metaphysical aspect. This is the age of Aquarius. Sharing thoughts, not words, thoughts. Thoughts of a cosmic consciousness. Thoughts of intelligence. I hope I'm coming through. This is a complete redirecting of the way we perceive the universe, the way we perceive things. Thinking that precedes action is what is important. Let us now explore this idea of cosmic consciousness, which is out there as an intelligence, which includes all thoughts of intelligences, past, present, and also future, and the connection with our own thinking. Are they related? Are they interconnected? Are they out there to permit us to tap that intelligence? The Zohar is very emphatic when it declares that not only is that a possibility, But that is what we refer to as reality. It is that very, very connectedness that those high-tech people of the Tower of Babel felt with cosmic intelligence. They knew how to tap that kind of awesome power and thereby control the entire cosmos. We shall yet return to that question that I raised previously as to how can idol worshippers control the activity of the Lord. While I might simply draw your attention to Holocaust after Holocaust, in which that negative energy intelligence that can place the entire world into a chaotic and distressful condition, and yet, where is the Lord? In a sense, we see, and we have experienced, unfortunately, more often than none, the ability of negative energy intelligence, the Dark Lord, to control the cosmos, to prevent the Lord from interceding or intervening on behalf of humanity. And more often than not, this planet Earth has met with that destructive force and has suffered the awful consequences. And so I ask, is it not possible that positive energy activity on behalf of mankind can also control the cosmos? Or is that just left to the Dark Lord? Only human negative activity can rule over planet Earth? As we have witnessed generation in and generation out? Well, the Zohar frankly believes that as powerful as people like the Tower of Babel, with all of their golem high tech, made every attempt and almost succeeded in controlling the entire world with negative energy intelligence, followed by the Middle Kingdom of Egypt that enslaved the entire world through the tapping of negative energy intelligence and thereby controlled the cosmos, thereby brought about the ultimate exodus of the Jew from Egypt, which led to the freedom of all peoples, of all nations throughout the then known world. Are we to come to a conclusion that this honor, privilege, is reserved for the Dark Lord, for negative human activity? I, for one, certainly do not believe that positive energy cannot control, and the Zohar certainly is in complete accord that when the opportunity arises where mankind, or at least the majority of mankind, will express human positive activity, we then will be assured of a structured, orderly universe which shall lead to peace on earth and goodwill towards men. And when we raised that question before, how can the Zohar say that the Creator could not control the people at the time of the Tower of Babel because they conducted themselves with the precept of love thy neighbor? Because they were practical people. They knew that if you can create an affinity with the Lord, in spite of the fact that you worship idols, but love thy neighbor, which is the epitome, as Hillel stated, the epitome of the expression of sharing, which is the intrinsic characteristic of the force, you are connected. If your human activity displays sharing, you're connected. And therefore, the force, the Creator, we have no idea of who or what that's all about. We do know what the force is about. It is a characteristic of sharing. It is an all-embracing, unified whole, an awesome power that we can tap and draw unto ourselves. That was the power of the people of Babel. They connected with the force by virtue of living with the precept of love thy neighbor. I can't say they were real good people, but they were practical people. They didn't go for the moral and ethics concept. This is the way to do things. No. Love thy neighbor was an integral part of connection. And they were bent on dominating the entire world. And they understood there was only one way to do it. Love thy neighbor. It's practical.